Hello. It's been forever. How's it going? Let me know everything's working still. I always worry when I'm gone for a while. So how was your guys' week off from me? Mine was pretty good. I'm wearing my backup glasses today because I like them better. So lately I like them better. So let me know how everything looks and if you can hear me okay. I'm going to link the patterns in the chat right now. Let's see. I've been playing around watching some live streams lately and looking for like where the chat button is when you're like live on a mobile device or on a PC or whatever. So it's kind of interesting like where that little thing jumps around, you know? Thanks, Megan. All right, I'm gonna put my mouse away over here. So I'm cutting out a lot of things today. In fact, I think I went overboard on the oven mitt thing, so I made a couple. Hi, Vicky. Poor Dominican. She was there for lunch, or he, I can't remember. So, anyway, let me show you also, let me get my mouse back. So here's my December calendar still. I just wanted to bring it back up. Hi, Malin. So this week is the gift sewing week. Next week, we're going to be doing the sleeve draft, and we're going to fit your sloper. So get on it, people. And then we're going to do the Cascade duffel coat, which I've actually been looking at the hashtags for, and I'm really excited about it. So that'll be fun. And then this is what we're making this week. So today is Tuesday, and we're cutting everything out. Tomorrow, we're making a dop kit or boxy bag in a couple ways. Thursday is the Apron by Decades of Style. Friday, dish carriers and oven mitts, which is probably not enough time for the things I'm cutting out. Saturday, Pincushions, and that's the only pattern that I sell. The others are free. Wednesday, for the Boxee Bag is where's my thing? Is a free pattern for Patreon subscribers. It didn't fit at all. Oh no, Malin. I'm sorry. That's a bummer. Yeah. Try it. I would look, keep your old measurements too. So when you go to remeasure, see if when you're starting to remeasure that some of the adjustments you're making reflect how the bodice didn't fit. So that you feel like, so you get that confidence that you feel like you're on track and you're going forward, you know? I kind of need that reassurance sometimes, you know what I mean? So you've seen these samples probably way too many times now. I know they're getting really boring looking. So here's the round dish carrier. I usually like to use canvases or something kind of stout just because it kind of feels better, you know? Hi, Rachel. This one I actually didn't have enough for the top, so I put a seam, and I'll show you guys how to do that, and I just lined it. And then there's a piece of canvas in between this layer and this layer here. So I did that on, so the bottom has an extra layer of canvas in between. I didn't do that on this. This is just oilcloth. I don't recommend oilcloth. It's super cute. This one's kind of a funky one I never use, but you will eventually put a hot dish in this thing and that won't go well. So heat and oilcloth don't go well together. The casserole, so everyone has like different kinds of dishes, right? So this one's more like the 9x13 pan or brownie pan, you know? So it can't really meet here, otherwise you can't get your pan in there. So I modified this one to have an elastic top. And same thing, I would put a layer of canvas or something in between. This is denim. This is the lightweight cotton I made that dress out of. So you can have fun with it. For the oven mitts, I got a little obsessed with this. Look at this. I've been making, this is not even half of my prototypes, you guys. Like, this is when I started fiddling around with like putting the seam in there, making it smaller and narrower. This is when it just folded over and didn't have elastic. And I put the seam in there, but really like right here, which is kind of where you want it. Ideally, you guys, this thing would have articulation right here and right here. You could really engineer the heck out of this thing if you really wanted a really good fitting. A little overboard. But like I said, this is my personal little project. This was the prototype I think I showed you guys, and it's okay, but without the articulation, it pops off my hand. You can kind of see I'm always pushing it back. So this is what I ended up with. This one's flannel, and then it has 2 layers of batting inside. This is the smallest size, and I feel like the small size could even be a little smaller. And so if you have my hand right here, I think it measures from here to here. I think it measures 6.5. What was it? Let's just do this. Yeah, it's like 6.5. I would scale it in the printer. When you print it, you can scale it down like 7%. I figured it out. I figured out that the difference in grade between hand measurements is a 1/2 inch going this way and this way. But this way it is more of an inch in total circumference around the hand. So it's just like a little bit. It's not much. Hands actually grow more than other parts of the body, but it's about 7% of the total. So if you can print it out at different scales, I think you could get one that fits really good. This is the medium, and this one I actually cut up. Okay, I actually bought oven mitts recently before all this, and I bought these really expensive all-clad ones, and they have this like silicone grip on them. Super thick, like, I don't know, it's not like, I don't think it's made specifically like heat resistant. It's just very thick, very thick. So I was like, my husband and I both don't like them. They were stiff and boardy. It was bound around the edge, and without the binding, it's relaxed a lot. But with the binding, it was so stiff, I couldn't use it at all. It was way too big. And so I ended up being like, well, heck, I'm going to use the fabric from it. I love doing that. I love finding things that I'm not using, and I'm like, well, what if I could use the fabric from that? Like I had my daughter at the pet store the other day looking for dog blankets made out of shearling because I couldn't find shearling locally. I was like, maybe there's a dog blanket. I want shearling for to line a shirt, you know. So anyway, I made one of the all-clad ones, and I just used 2 layers of batting inside. Half of this is lined with 1 layer of batting just for a little bit of heat resistance on the top of your hand. And then I used the silicone stuff for him. And this one's for my sister, who I don't think watches me, so I can say that. Make a couple more. This one I put a loop on, and this one I actually put a magnet right here. I have really strong magnets, and that is one thing I like about one of our mitts is that we can just magnetize it to the side of the oven. I know, right, Megan? No, we bought him a new one. It was our anniversary for our pug yesterday, our adoption anniversary. So you can see it's not much of a difference, but it makes a big difference. Like my husband said, my husband's not a big guy, you know, he's not much taller than me. He's lighter than me too. But, you know, like our clothes look like they're the same size. His hands are barely bigger than mine, but he felt like the small was a little small for him. So I made him a medium. And I'm hoping that he'll like this, you know, so we'll see. All right, so, I had a little bit of show and tell, and I wanted to show you, I got some fabric here. It's not even on the camera, is it? I'm going to make myself, you guys, I think I'm going to make a reversible Archer button-up that is kind of like a insulated jacket style, you know what I mean? So I got this really cool, kind of a Japanese-esque looking floral. It's kind of a brighter navy blue. It doesn't really look like it. I got this yarn dyed flannel. It's like a chevron. Super thick and cozy. So that's my selfish thing I'm going to make myself. And then I got my holiday knits. They do, Megan. Well, he does most of the cooking. So I definitely want him to like it, you know. So I got myself a very kind of non-traditional print for a t-shirt. And this is by Heidi Kinney. I buy a lot of her fabrics. They're pretty pretty unique, her prints, but that's what I like about them. They're kind of fun and quirky. She definitely has a certain, my video lost. I just got some video lost, didn't I? She certainly has a specific style that doesn't always suit what I'm looking for, but I really love, she puts eyeballs on everything. And she really loves vintage stuff. And if you ever find her on Instagram, her Instagram's My Paper Crane. Her house is incredible. Like, she's very into collecting things. I know. So I figured, like, I love the scissors and the snowflakes. It's so cute. I don't have anything to go for sleeves, though. I can't find anything, so I'm going to have to go to the store. And then I got this. This one's hers as well. I mean, it's definitely Christmassy, but it's just gingerbread. I always make gingerbread. I'm going to do the sleeves out of this. This is Ivy Cloth Company. And then my mom picked these two. They're really pretty. Look at this. This is so cute. Look at these sleeping little pets and stuff. And so I'm making her she actually gave me a shirt to copy, and I'm making her this one. This one, I don't think she realized how huge these birds are. They're really big. And they're made out of maps. It's pretty cute, though. So that's I have a lot to sew this month, I realized. Who, me? Okay. Oh, and then we're going to do the dop kit, the Boxee Bag. If you have the Grain Line Studio dop kit pattern, I totally recommend that. I was just trying to find something that sort of satisfies the dop size that I could give you guys so that as many of you can participate as possible. And this is the free pattern on for Patreon subscribers. And it's already linked, as well as the links to the dish carriers and the oven mitts. Now, with the dish carrier and the oven mitts, there's no instructions on how to sew it. It's a free pattern. You have to watch the video. There's no time that I can write the instructions up because I can't just throw them together and give them to you guys. That's just, I can't physically do that. I'm sorry. It's not in me to just throw it together. I'm sorry. Maybe someday I will revisit it and I will make it an actual pattern with instructions. But for now, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Sorry. I'm trying to make sure I can see all my chat. Oh, there we go. I know, the deer are so cute. Yeah, I loved what she picked. I love that she picked white backgrounds too. They really aged the best. The oven mitt is also a free pattern. I linked those at the beginning of the chat. I'll link it again. Pretty sure I still have it. Yeah, I do. Right there. That goes to the patterns. Saturday and Sunday we're sewing the pie slice and Saturday, not Sunday. Saturday we're gonna be sewing cupcakes and pie slices. It'll be fun. I have some fun fabrics I've had picked out for a while. So it'll be good to get those sewn as well. All right, and here is the 1 yard bias flapper apron. It's got a long name. 1928 1 yard bias cut flapper apron by Decades of Style, and this one is sponsored by Decades of Style and Hearts Fabric, so thanks to them for giving us this to sew. And wait to see the fabric. It's super cute. And we are going to be making both views on one garment. So you're going to get the most bang for your buck on this one. It's going to be fully lined and reversible, but we're also going to bind the perimeter. And so the instructions gives you 2 ways to show this. If you don't line it and make it reversible, you just need 1 yard of fabric to make it. Especially if you don't intend on having contrast pockets or a tie or anything, you can use 1 yard of fabric. There's also a kid's size apron in here as well. I think it's like size 14 is what it said. It's pretty bare bones for the directions. This is it. This is the entire instruction thing. So it's pretty simple. And I will be sewing it a little different for the reversible version since I'm binding it, but I believe in you. I love binding. You're going to see this week how much I love binding. And for all of you who hate binding, I'm really sorry. But I hope you'll forgive me. And you'll enjoy it by the end of the week if you sew all these things. Because I obviously love binding a lot. Okay, let's move these out of the way. What should we cut first? I'm going to move these out of the way. You're going to go there. You see my mom's already shopping on my Instagram for what she wants. Okay, I have to tie my shoe. I'm really sorry. But I will trip if I don't. And I never wear shoes with laces, so. All right, let's do some oven mitts first. All right, so we need some batting. We need some fabrics. I've got a Christmas oven mitt that's gonna happen. And a bird one. There's a lot of birds. I'm gonna do the small for both of these. I think I need that. So when you print out your patterns, make sure you print them out actual size and the apron or the shirt. What shirt? I'm not doing the shirt today. Can I do the, won't take me, I don't think it'll take me too long to do the oven mitt. Let's see here. So I traced all mine out onto manila paper. So if you haven't printed yours out yet, what I would recommend is printing it on a piece of cardstock and cutting it out, and then that way you can trace around it. All right, so this is what they look like when they're printed. And so just so you know, the reason the lines look so wiggly is because I traced these. I graded these, cut them individually, and then traced them and scanned them in. So I literally laid my pattern pieces on here and then drew the next one around it. So this is very old school, but tried and true. So before there were computerized grading programs, because I've used my share of those as well. That's what you did. You had one base size and then you graded up and you graded down. And the way they would actually check it is they would lay all their sizes like this, and they would go with a pencil, and then they would kind of see all the differences and make sure it was great. It was a great way to check your grade if it was correct or not. And you can see like mine gets a little narrow here, and that's okay. And it's because just because I want this to proportionally grow doesn't mean all of it needs to grow the same amount, right? Because the spread of your fingers here isn't growing as much of a rate as like the palm of your hand and the thickness here. And so I didn't really want this to get all wingy, you know, on the curved edge. But that's why, I mean, it looks very homemade, and it is. I mean, that's just like a classic way to do it. I don't want you to doubt the pattern just because it doesn't look like I put it into a CAD program and graded it for you, because I didn't. That's just, I don't have my CAD program anymore. It aged out of my computer. So they cost like thousands of dollars a year every time you do the update. So anywho, here is your notions and your yardage. And so if you want to do this in the smallest amount of fabric, you can do the entire mitt in the same fabric. You can make 2 mitts from a 1/4 yard or a fat quarter. And for those of you who don't know what a fat quarter is, all it is when you are, say you have a bolt of fabric, we're going to pretend like this is my bolt of fabric right here, right? Right? So it's coming off of the bolt of fabric, and you measure off 9 inches is a 1/4 yard, right? Instead of doing that, what they do is they measure off a 1/2 yard, cut it, and they also cut it here at the fold. And now you have 2 pieces. So you have a 1/4 yard that's side by side rather than long and skinny. So instead of a long, narrow piece, you have it side by side. And you'll go to the fabric store, especially if they are geared towards quilters. There's usually a little bookcase somewhere with tons of fat quarters or baskets, or they're either rolled up. It just depends on how that store likes to display them. But I guarantee you, you've probably, if you've never bought them before, you've probably looked at them 100 times and gone, I don't know what that is, you know, but that's what it is. It's really fun to shop. And what you do is you're getting a piece that looks like, is this a 1/2 yard? This is a 1/2 yard. So here we go. So this would be how they would cut a fat cord. They cut the 1/2 yard off, and then they would cut it down the fold right here in the middle. Or in the middle, not necessarily where the fold is, but in the middle that way. And then you'd have a piece that's this shape. You'd have 2 of them. That would be, and then you can actually, a lot of fabric stores, you can go up to them and say, do you guys cut fat quarters? And they'll say yes or no. And if they do, you can bring any bolt to them just about, and they will make you a fat quarter. So they don't mind adding to their fat quarter stash usually. So it's always worth asking about that. And if you're needing like a little bit of bias trim or some like hits of color, stock up on a few fat quarters. Some fabric stores have like specials. If you buy 3, you get 1 free. It's a really great way to do that. So you guys are already liking this video. Thanks. I see 3 likes. And now that I'm watching on the YouTube page, it's I really like being back on the YouTube page, but I feel bad when there's folks on Twitch and I'm not saying hi to them. And Olivia and Lisa are there. Hi, you guys. I'm really sorry that my unified chat still isn't even working. I didn't even try it out. Let me see if it's working today. Mob Crush can't figure it out. Let's see. Nope, still not working. So I have to flip back and forth. I don't want to miss you guys. But thanks for coming and watching, you guys. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna be giving out a lot of information. It's probably gonna be a little bit of a long stream because I don't want to just cut everything out. I want to give you a little bit. Hi, Maria. Nice to see you. I just placed an order with you. I love what you're doing with those like coloring ornaments and coloring notebooks, the wood. That is so cute. I bought a bunch of those. So I kind of want to just be a little instructional since these free patterns don't come with instructions. So if you are watching this in the future, hello future, fast forward, rewind, pause. That is your friend, you know? So I would totally recommend that. And I'm really sorry that all of you sitting here are going to have to suffer through me telling you things you probably already know. So let's see. So for the fabrics, you can get 2 mitts out of all the same fabric out of a 1/4 yard or a fat quarter. These are small enough pieces that they'll fit on either because 9 inches is a 1/4 yard, right? So all these will fit in this little narrow strip. You'll get a lot out of that. But if you're like me and you're just going to shop your stash and kind of cobble it together, what I'm going to gear toward is I'm going to use, like on this one, I'm going to use canvas. This is a scrap of canvas I have for the part that touches the pans. Because what I find is like this is the part that can get dirty. So I kind of want to cover that up the most. And I don't want to use this cute fabric. I also think something a little more sturdy is a good idea. But like, I have used just regular, where's that one at? The little bird one. I did use on 2 of them, just regular old quilting cotton on this surface. And I used it all Thanksgiving and it was totally fine. So you can do that. This one I did flannel. This one I did the all-clad oven mitt. And then this one I'm doing canvas. I've done a couple out of the canvas I really like. So these pieces here, they look like this is the part like this. It's not. This is the back of your hand. All right. So it's the part that goes right here. I don't know why I was holding that like that. Right? Okay. That's the part right here. I feel like, isn't it nice when someone tells you what that piece is? Like you don't have anything but these little printouts. So I'm going to show you so it makes more sense. So all the round pieces are the top of the hand. So this is the thumb and that's the fingers. The notches are the part that gets sewn to the top and bottom of your oven mitt. All right. The fold is where we're going to put the elastic. Now this articulated piece is your palm. So this is this part right here. Okay, right here and right here. That's this. This is your oven mitt, just like this. So you can plan your fabric. So on this one, you can see I used the same fabric for this piece here, right here. Then I used this batik. I can't even see let me see, where's my camera? I used a batik on the inside here. And then I used this all clad for the palm. So this piece is also these 2 pieces here. So I used 3 different fabrics, plus I used batting. So for this little guy, there is a lot of fabric. And, you know, it's still a pretty quick thing to sew, but yeah, I know there's a lot of going on because I really wanted a good oven mitt, so sorry. But yeah, and once you break it in and use it a little bit, it gets better and better. I find mine at home is just like, it's getting better and better. Like I could spend more time engineering this, but you know, I knew there was a limit to what you guys would be willing to sew. So, all right. So if you want to stack cut, you know, you can do that where you put a few different things, you know, cut all these out. Just remember, you only need one of these in fabric, one of these in fabric, and then you need batting up to this fold line here. Remember, the notch is not the fold line. It folds this way, okay? Just remember, but that is illustrated right here on the pattern pieces, all right? All right, and then if you're gonna fussy cut, just remember also that half of your piece doesn't really need to be fussy cut, just this part here, and this is your fingers, right? So, you know, you can put your bird like that. All right, that's what I'm looking for, right? One bird's gonna be upside down, it doesn't matter, just remember to sew it correctly. It's the same for this. This is what you're gonna see the most because it's right here on your thumb, right? So you might want those two little bird faces right there, right? All right, so what I would recommend is printing these on cardstock and then being able to trace around it, because when you're doing these small circles, they are trickier to cut out than bigger things. Circles are always harder to cut out, and it's really easy to nick your pattern. So if you can trace around it, I think you'll be happier, you know? All right, so I'm only gonna do this bird on the top of the hand. So I'm just gonna start tracing stuff, and then I'm gonna cut all out at once. So here's my, let's see. We're gonna do these little birds kissing here. They're not kissing, I know. And if you want a little divot for your notch, you can just cut a little triangle out right here. And then you can mark it on the, as long as you don't go past the 1/4 inch seam allowance, you can make a little divot on your pattern piece, which will be helpful later. All right, same thing. This is the back of my hand like this. And I think I'm gonna focus on these two guys here. And this is the fabric that shows the most. So if you want to use like scraps for the palm of the hand on the inside and on the outside, go for it, you know? All right, and I'm gonna cut this off. I'm gonna come back to it later. And I'm gonna put my fabric away now. One of the ways I'm able to do a lot and get a lot done is that I immediately, it's kind of gross, but I can immediately fold things up and put it away. Otherwise, my studio gets crazy, literally crazy. All right, so if your fabric isn't directional, you don't need to worry about this. Just remember that that's the seam right here, this curve. So it is going to be sewn like that. So say this was a, you know, if you were doing a directional print like this, you might want them all right side up because it's this piece right here, okay? Just so you have that in your head. But if you want to save fabric and it's not directional, you can even nest these together like this. Okay. All right, now this piece I can actually lay on this one. This is my other piece for the palm. I'm using an iridescent, well, not iridescent, but the peppered cotton. So the warp and the weft are both different. And I can just cut these all out together. I'm kind of showing you in a quick way so that gift sewing isn't too overwhelming and you can kind of batch do things. If I was gonna fussy do all this, then this is how I'm gonna fussy do it, you know? So right now I have this one that I had to aim for with the birds. Megan, I actually looked into that and someone did a really cool test. I don't think it would be hard to find either, but they tested a whole long list of fabric. And what they found was that batting worked really great. and old towels worked really, really great. Like if you're not going to buy something like Insulbrite, which is literally a heat resistant fabric geared towards these kinds of uses, like maybe for an ironing board, or I'm not sure what it's for, but I decided that I would steer clear of anything you had to go out and buy specifically, because she said, you know, using old towels and batting worked so great, she didn't find that she needed to use the Insulbrite. So if you have some old towels laying around, you can use that. I didn't bring any in. I have these scraps of batting that I was going to use. And I'm going to use 2 layers. It's pretty thin. That's how I'm going to do it. All right, so I'm going to see if what I have laying out here will work for what I already have here. So this is the toweling at my fabric store. I don't usually do like decorate for my house for the holidays, but I just thought it would be fun to show that. I'm gonna tone down the camera, man. Is it bright for you guys? It looks really bright. That a little better? And it's like so blue. Now it's so pink. Let's see. How's that? Is that a little better? It looks good. Oh, you came back from your lunch break, Dominican. All right, cool. Because I was thinking I'm going to use this for the thumb and the fingers. But I'm going to use this little candy for both layers. Or actually, no, I was going to use it for 1 layer of this, the inside. Like that. Yeah, because if you can try and stack cut as much as possible, it makes your life a little easier. It was fine. Does it look okay right now? It just looked really blue to me. All right, so this is my, remember, I'm only aiming for a motif under the fold line. This is the thumb. So I'm going to make Santa look at me. Oh, he's got a little belt and, well, that's pretty cute. All right. Now I could, like with this toweling, I could probably get a lot of these. I could do the palm in this, which would be really cute. But I've always wanted an excuse to use that candy, you know. I could even take out this hem right here if I wanted more. But this will be plenty. I had 4 mitts to cut out today, and I was like, yeah, that's a little too much. Okay, good. Thanks, Malin. All right, so let's put this away. All right, so those are ready to cut, and these are ready to cut. And then my last thing, so this was the all-clad thing. I was gonna make... Oh, thanks for subscribing. I really need to change the coloring because I can see the last name, Robillard. Thanks for following. And if you're on Twitch... Oh, hi, H. Dot. How's it going? Hi, Bryant. I just want you to know I'm bouncing back between my Twitch chat and my YouTube chat. So, oh, thanks. Is that Michelle? Is that what it says? Thanks for following or subscribing. Yeah. So, but I try and respond to you both. Sometimes my friend Brooke will text me and say, "Hey, you have a question on Twitch. You need to answer." My phone's way over there, though. I can see it lighting up, but I have a feeling it's not this related. Let's see. Nope. So I'm good. All right. So I tried to use this in his, and I just decided with the silicone side and this, it was just overkill. This is already going to add so much to this oven mitt. You can see some of the embroideries right here on the tip of it. But I'm going to use it for the Santa since it's the same color red, but I'm going to have to fussy cut it out. I'm going to use the small one on that one and the big one on this. So this is another option. If you haven't bought fabric and you really want like oven mitt specific fabrics and you're already going to spend 20 bucks getting fabric for your oven mitts, you could buy oven mitts and take them apart. Like it took me 1 minute to take apart these oven mitts because the stitches, you guys, were 4 stitches per inch. And we usually sew 12 stitches per inch. So it was really easy. So they weren't, you know, it wasn't Fort Knox trying to get those apart. You know what I mean? Oh man, I was about to flip it over, but I was like, You can tell I didn't I didn't draw on the ones I cut for the map one right there because I just used my knife right on around my pattern, and I realized that's a bad idea. That was always my assistant would always tease me. She's like, you know, you always tell me never to use the rotary knife because it's best practice never to use your rotary knife around your pattern when you have pieces like this because you'll accidentally trim it eventually, right? And then I would still do it. Like she always followed the rules and I never did. All right, so his was the medium. This is the small and it obviously fits a lot better. Oh dang, I should have flipped it over that time. It's kind of weird drawing on this. It's like, look at me. I'm getting all over the place because of those little bumps. All right, so the only thing left to trace or cut is my batting. And I can use this for my batting. So those all need to be fussy cut. But here we can get rid of all this. You need 2 layers per mitt. This might be a little too much to cut out, but we'll see. See if we can get that in there. All right. All right. Now we can cut these out. And then I think the only thing is bias. And I'm going to use this one for the Santa. And I was going to use this one for the birds. And I will be hand cutting bias today. So just stay tuned if you want to see how I do that. Or you can, there's a how-to video on YouTube called How to Cut and Sew Bias. There's 2 of them. One to cut, which is really short, and one to sew it. And I feel like it's actually a pretty good video. So check it out if you want any tips on sewing bias or cutting it out. But I will be cutting some today. This is when the little knife would probably be great on these little circles like this. These like, I'm calling these pieces circles. I know they're not, but I usually always put the pattern piece to the left of my blade. If you're left-handed, it'd be to the right of your blade. I'm gonna save that. I don't really need to notch my notches because they're drawn on there, and that's sufficient. I don't really need notches. It'll be okay. You do, Melinda? Like, what way is it that... I really like seeing how everyone does it differently, you know? I keep meaning to make a video on how to do continuous bias. Because I was thinking I'd do that for the Patreon folks. Because it is kind of a cool method, and it makes people feel good that it's all like sewn together and ready to go, you know? I learned how to do it like a really long time ago, and for the longest time I thought that was the only way you could cut and bias. And every time I would do it, I had this little like piece of paper that I had folded and marked as like a mock-up of it, and I always had it in my little tool thing because I was always forgetting how to do it. And it's not like we had the interwebs, you know? So you'd have to like find someone who knew how to do it that way and ask them how to do it again if you forgot, you know? All right, let's see. Do I think I can cut all? I don't think I can accurately. So I'm gonna take those out and I'll just do it on here. So this one I will have to notch because I have a few other layers that I want to have the notch as well. I am not the most graceful cutter. I use scissors when I have to do this. You don't need to notch the batting, just your fabric. These guides right here are where your flap here, your little pocket, gets lined up to. This right here is just a guide so that you can get everything on there straight. It's just a helpful guide. And then the double notch reminds you that that is for the back, and then the single notch is for the front. Front, back. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right, Melinda. I think I used to always do it that continuous way, and then I literally just forgot how. Like, I would do it, and it wouldn't come out quite right, and I was like, all right, I just need to move on from this method because I'm clearly not doing it right anymore. And so I just did it that way, and I had to do it so that it made sense to me. That's why I feel like, you know, like when you learn from someone like a professional, they have this really great skill set to pass along to you, someone who's been doing it for a really long time. There's benefits to that, and I'm definitely that person for some things, but other things I had to figure out on my own. One of them is cutting and sewing bias, and I had to do it so much. Like Rayanne and I figured out how much bias we sewed one year, and it was in the miles. Like miles of it. So we were pros. And I wasn't like that when I started, though. I just always really liked the way it looks, and I loved the contrast edging, and no one was really doing that. And I just really wanted to try it. And so I feel like when you learn the hard way, when you have to figure it out, and you have to you don't have any resources, and you have to figure out like what logically makes sense, it sticks with you because you're like, okay, this is logical. I'll remember this next time. And so that's why I say I feel like my video is pretty good, because it's very logical and makes sense, especially the sewing of it. Because I used to have the same struggle sewing bias everyone does, and that is, you know, getting it so that your stitch doesn't show on the other side, right? Like, look, I don't have any stitching showing. And this one wasn't that easy because of the sticky stuff. So I feel like I figured it out, and I've definitely done some trial and error, you know, and didn't always have it figured out. So it was fun. I love it. It isn't to say you couldn't figure out a way to sew this oven mitt without binding. If you are willing to, you know, you could sew the whole thing right sides together, you know, like take this and this as one unit and this right sides together, sew around the perimeter, leave an opening, turn it, and edge stitch it shut. You could totally do that, you know? And I think in some ways you might even get a mitt you like a lot more because your fingertips could get all the way to the edge right here. So this is the other thing about oven mitts. Because of this little lip here, it is one thing preventing you from feeling really secure about when your hand is on the pan and grabbing things, because you'll get hung up on it, you know? I think you guys know what I mean. So that is one option. I haven't tried it yet. All right, so now we have our of a mitts. And you know what? I'm going to set this up right now. Oh, I need my, I just need my half pieces now. So when you sew these, you have to put one piece of batting on each one. Let's see. So each one, you can put 2 layers on one, but you'll probably find it a lot easier to sew if you just put 1 layer. And let's just do it now. So if you're cutting along with me, this will give you a chance to catch up. This flannel is just, it's pretty yummy. All right, so now we have 1 on each. We have 2 palms, 2 inner palms, right? I have a little rolly cart that I'm laying all this out. I have so many things, different tiers. You know, Michelle, I think if you don't get anything that makes it too thick and you are determined, like you're willing to figure out the binding part, because I feel like it can be, definitely, because you're not fitting anything, and the way I'm going to show you is a really straightforward way to do it. Yeah, I mean, I think this isn't a problem. Like, this isn't very thick, Megan. Doing this is kind of weird. But it was fine as long as you have the fabric between your machine and your presser foot. But Michelle, I feel like it's worth a try. It's because we're going to do an elastic casing, and you're going to probably like the way I do it compared to other things, because it's a flat piece that you're putting the elastic into right here, rather than around a waistband, which could be a little trickier. And I think, like, yeah, I kind of want to rephrase from the beginning, because yes, I really do. And I really don't like it when people have that nervousness about bias binding. Hi, Terry. Because it's actually really fun. And it's just 2 seams. Like, it's not, I don't know. You can always try one. So, I don't know if you guys still need, I'm going to put the link again one more time. So here's the patterns on the website. All right. So we just need our batting pieces. For the halfway point, because I didn't give you a pattern piece for this. So what I would do is, actually do as I am, not as I was about to do. All right, I would fold your pattern piece in half and use that, because if you fold your fabric, okay, the thing is, the temptation, and this is what I did earlier, is to fold your fabric in half and lay it on here, and it's nice, right? Because your fabric sticks to the batting and doesn't move around, and it's like kind of holds itself on there like a felt board. But the thing is, when you go along this edge, you can't trace this because you might get ink on your fabric, and you don't want to accidentally nick it with your rotary knife. I've never done that before. So I would just fold the pattern piece in half. You don't need the notches for the batting, and you only need 1 per mitt, okay? So I'm cutting out 2 here because I have 2 mitts. This is pretty narrow right here, so I'm gonna go like this. And after this, we're gonna move on to the apron. I've never made the apron, so that's one thing we'll all do together. But it looks really straightforward. Looks right at my alley, honestly, with all the binding. I'm on the camera, right? Yeah. Barely, huh? I've been zooming in the camera for you guys, but I didn't do that. So if you want me to zoom it in, I can. All right. So you can just pair these up right now if you want. because it'll kind of remind you what goes where, right? And that this has a fold line. All right. I'm excited to sew oven mitts. Can you tell? All right. Let's do our apron. Alright, so we're doing the Decades of Style, and they sent the cutest fabric, this great bird print. Why are you doing that? There we go. And this is more like a cotton canvas, lightweight cotton canvas. I think it's like the linen cotton style, you know. I think this is all, these are both. Yeah, Ruby Star Society. These are new. Melody Miller for Ruby Star, right? Yep, these are both new Ruby Star. And there's this really great gingham from Riley Blake. And let me see, is the where's my sponsor page? Oh, right here, right here. All right, yeah. So the fruit stand is this one right here. And it is 70% cotton, 30% linen, and it's 99123 on the Hearts Fabric website. And we have a discount code, SOSO10. So if you're new here, Hearts Fabric is spelled H-A-R-T-S. There's no E. They're really awesome to us, and they send us all kinds of fun projects, and you have a 10% off from them. But they're having a really big sale right now. I think it's 20% off through midnight. It might have been yesterday. I'm not sure. So you might take advantage of that one. And then I don't think you need a code for that one, by the way. The other one is Social Nested 98780. And then the bias that we're going to be making in this gingham is the, this is like a print gingham, by the way. It is 80798, large gingham orange cotton. That covers everything. Yeah, cool. All right. We have our pattern piece. I've browsed the pattern just a little bit. Ends today. That's what I thought. Yeah. So if you guys want 20% off, they have a great fabric selection. If you're a garment sewist, they have a fantastic selection of garment fabrics, garment-specific fabrics. All right, so one thing to note is if you have a directional print and you are doing a bias cut, your print's going to be diagonal, all right? So you just need to remember that. It's one thing. So the first thing you do is you're going to, because you only need 1 yard, you're going to fold your fabric, cut edge to selvage edge, all right? So we'll just talk a little bit about grain lines really quick. So your length grain is always the grain line parallel to the selvage. Selvage is your finished edge of the fabric, typically printed with the design information, sometimes not, and sometimes not very obvious. If you're having trouble seeing the selvage versus the cut edge, this is typical for me with spoonflower fabrics. I look for little tiny holes. There's little tiny holes sometimes in the selvage. And that was probably on the machine, you know, like kind of grabbing it and rolling it up. But those are some indications. I did not pre-wash these. It's an apron. I'm not worried about fit, and I don't think they'll mind this time. So the cross grain is the grain line perpendicular to the selvage, and it's your cut edge So your cut edge and your cross grain are the same thing. Your selvage and your length grain are the same direction. The bias, true bias, is 90 degrees to either. Okay, so now 90 degrees, I just did that wrong. 90 degrees to either the cut edge or the length grain, which is this. Okay, and then we get something stretchy. That's why this apron can fit lots of different people and be comfortable, and it'll probably not have a lot of like gapping or anything, or like spots where it doesn't, you know, fit you, because of the bias is going to kind of hug you. That's why bias cut garments are so wonderful that way. So we're making the view where we're going to fully line it and make it reversible, but I'm also going to bind the outer perimeter. All right, so remember, our birds are going to be a little bit diagonal. I actually hung it up in my studio for a while to see how it would look that way, and I think it'll be fine. I'm just going to cut both layers at the same time, but I'm kind of tempted to flip my, you see this right here, this is what happens when you take a yard and fold it cut edge to selvage edge, is that you have it, you know, that is, how do I put this? If your fabric, if you had a piece of fabric that was the length was the same as the width, you wouldn't have this little overlap. But because it's only 36, yard is 36 inches long, and the fabric's 44 inches wide, 45 degrees. Thank you, Malin. I said 90 degrees, didn't I? Yeah, it's 45 degrees. Whoops. You know, there's people out there sending, like, you can stop writing your angry comment now on my YouTube channel, please. Whoever's writing right now. I'm starting to get those. I'm starting to get know-it-all comments, you guys. Like, I'm sorry. It's a live stream. Try it out sometime. It's not easy. All right. So when you're cutting things on the fold and you're cutting 2 layers on the fold, it isn't the most accurate. Hi, Siobhan. How's it going? You've been so busy. Nice to see you. Engineer. Yep. Yeah, well, you know, I like to think of myself that way too, but I guess not. Right, Olivia? I do. I've made it. I have trolls now. No, they're not trolls. They are not trolls. I think, you know, in some ways, like, there is that kind of expectation that if I'm doing this, I should be doing a very specific tutorial on how to do this exactly one way, and it's the instructions way. And I'm the first to tell you that's not how I do things here. I try to follow the instructions when, especially when it's the sponsored stream, because I know they're going to be promoting it and they want their customers to be able to follow it along. But I will veer off of it if I'm like, yeah, there's another way you can do this that I think you'll like better. Nice. Yeah, we're happy to see you. Okay, so this is the kids, so let's cut that off and move it aside. I should have done this before I put my fabric on so I could use my rotary knife. All right, 3/8 inch seam allowance. So when I ask you guys a million times tomorrow or Thursday. All right, we'll put this away. I just found my daughter's first apron I made her. She was 18 months old. My kid walked way too young, let me tell you. She walked at like 10 months old. And by 2 years old was definitely helping me make whipped cream in the kitchen. And I made her first little apron. It was a blueberry print, the same one I use in the pie pincushion. And that thing is this big. It's so cute. Yeah, I can do that. Let's see. It's hearts, exactly. It's hearts fabric. Let's see. Pretty sure that's it. That didn't link it though, did it? Here, let me put an actual proper link. Oh, and you know what? Here you go, Twitch. Here's the pattern link. I'm sorry, I kept putting it in the YouTube one. That's Fine Hearts Fabric Online. Hearts Fabric. They are located in Santa Cruz, California. They ship super fast. I really like dealing with them. I've dealt with them actually for a long time before I knew them, and they didn't know me. It's one of the reasons I asked them. Oh my god, that is the biggest freaking link ever. Why is it putting all that gobbledygook? Let's see if this one works. Yeah, that looks like a link, right? Yeah, so if you use the link so10, yeah, crap, let me see here. It's like putting like all this extra stuff. I'm just trying to just do the hearts one. There you go, Twitch. So yeah, they will like they even had contacted me once and said, hey, we see you bought this, you know, and they would ask me a question, or I would say, hey, you know, I'm curious if the two fabrics I bought, do they actually go together? Because we would have sometimes these bias crises where we would get, you know, 90 yards of fabric and it wouldn't coordinate with what we originally intended it to go with, and so we'd have 90 yards of fabric we couldn't use, and we had to find 90 yards of fabric that would work and have it cut into bias. It was, so I would do like samples from them because they carried a lot of the same stuff. Twitch, Michelle, is another live streaming platform like YouTube. It's yeah. So the thing about Twitch that's really great is that you can zoom in on the video. It's faster, so they are seeing me and responding to me faster than YouTube. It's just that there's not as much like knowledge about it, and so a lot of people don't know about it. It's definitely geared toward the gaming community, but it's TCH, TWITCH. But there are definitely some twits on Twitch. None of them are in my chat right now, though. There's definitely an element. But there is a really great makers and crafting community on there, and if you're into all kinds of things like laser cutting, you know, spinning, weaving, and they'll have a really small community, which is kind of cool. Lots of cosplayers on there because there's a lot of crossover with gaming and sewing with cosplay. Right, Mullen? So, yeah. I love Twitch. I actually watch Twitch a lot. I do like to game, and I like that I can ask someone help because I'm an older gamer and a newer gamer. I can ask them, hey, I don't know how to do this, or hey, you know, where'd you go to get this in that game? And so I really like it. So that's why I do it. Just because it's an affinity of my own. All right, so this is kind of cool. She laid the pattern pieces out on the tissue, all of them, so that you can just lay it on your fabric and cut it out. How amazing is that? Thanks, Decades of Style. So as long as you are making sure you're, you know, I'm barely in there. Where's my birds? Yeah, so I'm okay. Because you could cut these pieces apart and get them a little closer if you really needed to. And this is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pockets of the canvas on the bird and the birds on the other. So that's why I can cut out both. But I'll match the ties. I only need one set of ties. So I'll probably go with the blue ties. Right? So. All right, so let's get this going here. This is on the fold. And I am not sure about the neck thing, but I'll cut it on the fold just to be sure. Maybe I could slide this over a little bit. I'm running out of space. So tomorrow we are sewing the dot kit, which we haven't even cut out yet. And then Thursday we're sewing this apron. Friday is the oven mitts and the dish carriers. Why did I put so much on that day? And then Saturday is the pincushions. And I'm gonna cut pincushions out on Saturday with everybody. I don't know how I'll do that yet, but I will. Okay. So I'm just lining up this edge right here on the fold. And I'm gonna go for it. We've made one other Decades of Style pattern, and it was the Butterfly Blouse. That was also sponsored by Hearts Fabric, and it came out amazing. Do you guys remember that? Like, I actually made another one, but I didn't really pick the greatest. Like, it was okay. Brooke was trying to reassure me. I sent her pictures. I used a kind of a heavy linen, and the sleeves looked a little too full. It's actually hanging right behind me. So I didn't end up using it or wearing it. I didn't finish it with the tie. It was the only thing I didn't do, I think. Wait, it has a tie. Yeah, tie. That is another. So Decades of Style specializes in vintage recreation patterns. And I highly recommend you follow her on Instagram, because some of the things people make with her patterns are so fun to see, you know? All right, so we have our, this is the lengthen and shorten line right here for the neck, and there's a pocket placement right here. I'm just gonna do it as is. They didn't ask for anything specific, so I'm just gonna stick to it. I kind of wanna save this fabric right here. Look, it's an oven mitt. I may have to save that. I don't see any notches. I'm going to put my pattern away because it's pretty straightforward. I don't think I'll need it. And then that way, ooh, I just folded that kind of badly. I needed the, what am I talking about? I needed the pocket thing. Oh boy. So now this would be kind of a good pattern for me to do drill holes, because I have 4 layers. I'm not going to do that. Drill holes are always dicey. And by that I just mean, like, that would be very much an industry way to mark your buttons and buttonholes, or buttons and buttonholes, your drill holes for things like pocket placements. They will drill a hole in the fabric, and it permanently does hurt the fabric. That's why you cover it up with the button. You put the hole in the seam allowance of the, why do I keep saying button? Pocket. I've been so excited about this week. Does it show? I was here like doing a ton of work for it last week though. So I was like, yeah, I need to make sure I'm ready for this. I'm so glad I did that. Okay, so we have these pieces here. All right, we have our pocket. The pocket is also looks like it is on the straight grain as well as the tie. Because remember here, this is our grain line right here. So I'm gonna move this over a little bit. You only really need the apron to be on the bias. Yeah, and it was really nice. When Decades of Style heard we were doing this stream for Hearts, she said that she would supply the pattern as part of the sponsorship, which was really nice. And did you guys see my mom shopping on my Instagram post for what she wants? That's my mom. Saying, Mom wants an apron in that bottom right corner. I really like it when people are really direct. I actually really like that, you know. It's like, okay, good to know. She loves birds, and so, I know that about her. All right, so this piece is a little narrow for the tie. But it looks like I have enough right here with this piece here, like that. So we'll move our, you can always use the canvas, but I don't really need to. I do tidy up my scraps really often. I think that just comes from knowing how I like to sew and how I like to store things. Yes, it does make me worry sometimes I might need that one little piece I threw away, but honestly, that's only ever happened to me in production when we have run out of fabric. So it happens personally very rarely. All right, so we have our ties. Do I need 4 of these? Nope, I need 2. Perfect. So I see there's a fold line on the pocket, and I am going to just notch that. And I'm only using my rotary knife because it's 4 layers of fabric. And that way I can put this piece away as well. Hey, you know what I forgot to tell you guys? I bought that new noodle head purse pattern that came out a couple weeks ago. Have you guys seen that? It's cute. I don't really need a purse, but I really like her patterns. I even bought some of the hardware. You guys know me. When I'm in, I'm all in. Alright, so we have our ties now. There's no markings. I'm just going to put this away. Perfect. Oh yeah, we definitely have enough for oven mitts. Everybody's getting oven mitts. Okay, so now I'm going to cut the bias. Let's see the width that they recommend, because I typically, you'll see almost all the bias I use and cut is 1 3/8 inch wide. It's a width I'm really comfortable with. It's a width that finishes about, I'd say about 3/8 of an inch wide, 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch wide. It's very traditional width. It's not, you don't cut it that width for quilting. And a lot of quilters don't cut their bias, their trim on the bias. They cut it on the cross grain. So that is not something I'm as familiar with. And I'm actually learning about it right now. So, anywho, I want to see what she likes. Well, she doesn't say, does she? Let's see. You need 7.5 yards of bias. And I actually have a cheat sheet. 1 yard for one-sided apron, 7/8 yard for child size, 2 yards for... I'm just looking for, okay, so I'm just going to do the width I want, but I'm going to go get my bias cheat sheet, because I actually have one. So a lot of you know I've been turning a lot of my former businesses designs into home sewing patterns, and I wanted to make sure what I was saying in my instructions was accurate, because I was trying to give a yield measurement for bias, and I was trying to determine, like, if they got a fat quarter, is that enough for bias for this particular project? And so I actually took a fat quarter and I drew it on here, and these are all the inches in length, usable lengths. This is 1 3/8 inch wide cut pieces. And I determined that you can get 5.6 yards out of a fat quarter, and that's not using these pieces right here. So you can easily get 5 yards of bias binding from a fat quarter with that many seams. Oh, cool, Dominican. I don't know what the petal pouch is. Hi, World Peas. Nice to see you. Yeah, so this is my little, so I kept this. So like this right here, this length of this edge is 21 inches because usually the usable width of a fat quarter is not going to be 22 because the fabric itself is 44 inches wide, edge to edge, including the selvages. And some selvages are wider than others, and you just want to cut that off, right? So first thing I do, I usually just cut the selvage off. So I was trying to make this conservative, and so that would be the fold would have been there before it was turned into a fat quarter, and this is 18 inches long. So for reference, you guys, you can get 5.5 yards, 1 3/8 inch wide bias on a fat quarter, plus there's some little bit of waste there. You know, it's just like how many seams do you want, you know? I've definitely pieced it that bad. So they gave us a 1/2 yard of fabric, so we're good. We're gonna get our 7 yards. One way I could have made that stretch was make the bias narrower. I wasn't really wanting to do that. Narrower isn't, I'm not as good at that. Oh, okay, yeah. I wonder if it's like that little friend pouch we made. So look, I'm just cutting off the selvage right off the bat. The reason I do that right now is because if you don't do it now, you're going to be doing it on every little end of your bias. So you might as well just do it. So this is kind of a, when it's a 1/2 yard shape, it does feel like a little bit of an awkward shape. I'll still do it the way I usually do it, just so you can get an idea. And that is, I fold it. You know, usually I would like try and fold it like edge to edge. Like say I had, so typically when I would make bias, I would start with a length that was the same as the width. I love gingham too, Siobhan. And so that would be my like go-to amount, because then I could just fold it and it would line up, you know, in a nice little tidy square, and then I could fold, and it would be great, right? So I would really like to get as long of a piece as possible. It's just going to be hard with this kind of shape, you know? I'm just kind of looking at it. I'll explain in just a second what I'm doing. I just want to make sure this is what I want, you know? Part of me wants to cut this right here and then cut it like this, you know? But I'm just trying to see if I can get a longer piece if I don't do that. Pretty sure the longest piece I'm gonna get is that. Maybe from here to here would be the longest I would get. All right, so no matter the size of your fabric, you need to fold it so that your length grain is parallel to your cross grain, right? So your selvage is parallel to your cut edge. Here's my cut edge, and here's my selvage, okay? It doesn't look like that's my selvage, and that's because I cut the selvage off. The oven mitts are in that link. So if you go to that pattern link on my page, let's see, I don't have it anymore. Let's see. Here we go. It is, the thumbnails on this page are going to be a little confusing. Just hover over the bottom right too. Do you see there, the bottom row says gift making, and it's the bottom right hand. It looks like it's the last one. So if you hover over that bottom one on the row, it should be the oven mitt. And then the link is in there to the pattern. Woo, what was that? Oh, thanks, Angela. That's awesome. Thanks for the Patreon pledge. Yay! That's awesome. You can get the Boxee Bag pattern for free right now, plus all of the instructions on how to do your basic bodice. And we're going over the fit next week. I just need a drink. Sorry, guys. That's awesome. Thanks. Did you like the little pushing? All right. So this is the funny thing. Like, I know it looks really weird like this, but you have to fold it this way. So if you want to make it look less weird, I can cover it up, but it's not going to change anything. So you need to fold it so that your cut edge is parallel to your selvage over here. All right. Now it's not the same for that selvage there. That one's, that is still, actually, I'm sorry, it is. It's parallel right here. All right, and now, no matter where this is, you're gonna fold it along this fold, right on top of itself, okay? Flatten all this out. All right. Now, depending on how big this is, you can fold this a few times like this. Okay. That's my fold still. We'll just make it look nice and tidy. All right. Do you want me to show you guys that again? And then I'm going to cut it. Looks like a big carrot that I'm cutting up. Yay! Nice, Rachel. Okay, so let's start again. So this is a 1/2 yard of fabric. Okay. Selvage, selvage. Cut edge, cut edge. In fact, let's even trim this so it's straight. Let's not lose our directions. All right. All right, so selvage, selvage. Now you're gonna fold it. It's nice on the gingham. I can actually see, you know, that line right there. But you're basically putting this cut edge parallel to your selvage, all right? Now turn it so that the fold's facing you, okay? Now just keep folding it on top of itself, this fold edge. So just don't get confused with this fold edge and the fold we're about to create. All right, that's my one tip, because sometimes you get lost in the sauce on this. And when you don't have your stripes to kind of keep you on track, you might end up cutting your bias the wrong direction. So this is your first fold, right? Now you're going to stack up the folds right on top of it. All right? Stack it up. I really like making it nice and tidy and manageable. And now I kind of rotate this now. There's my stacking folds right here. And I just keep stacking them like this. Try and get them right on top of each other best you can, but most importantly, try and get this to lay nice. Right? So here we go. The reason I say get this laying nice is don't do this by accident. Don't do this by accident, like have this gap right here. Try and keep this nice and flush. And the reason you want that is because you don't want any bias pieces that go like this. Right, Megan? It does look like that, huh? Especially in the gingham. All right. Now the first thing I do is I cut this fold off. And you're going to try and get this nice and perpendicular to this edge. Now, when you do that, this might look like a heck of a mess right here, but we're going to get rid of it right off the bat, all right? We're going to get rid of that. Just get rid of it. Now turn this. This is all as if you're right-handed at this point. You want your cut edge right here. Now you're going to use your ruler and you're going to do your parallel cuts. Now the thing with bias is that you don't want this edge right here to not be perpendicular to this edge. You need this to be a right angle as best you can. If it starts getting off, correct it and then keep going. The reason you don't want it to veer off of the right angle right here is that these folds right here, that is your bias. So you don't want your bias to do this. Oh, thanks for the donation. Who is that? Lisa, thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yay. So you don't want your bias to do this, right? So I'll cut one towards the end wrong, and I'll show you what I mean. But this is your thickest area is your longest pieces. So make sure you get these especially as nice as possible so you can use them all. So I'm going to line up this cut edge right here 1 3/8 inch away from this edge into the ruler. That's why I like these kinds of rulers, because it has the 1/8 inch marks. And so I'm going to line it up from here to right there, and this right here is 1 3/8. Okay, whatever you're going to do. So do this, and then I move it out of the way. Sometimes you can just go right on top like this, but sometimes you can't see your cut line anymore. I've had a lot of practice with this, and my right angle gets off course less now than it used to. So, but it still does. This is the great thing about using a stripe or something like gingham, is that it does create this diagonal plaid effect, you know. We're going to cut it all up because we need about 7 yards. I'll leave a little bit at the end. See, I can see now it's getting a little bit off. Look at that. So I have to true it up again, because otherwise you might get pieces like this one. See, it has a little bend in it. Can you see that? I'll line this up on a line on the table. See? Don't do that. We can work around that. You just want to make sure that if it's getting too angled, you'll start losing some of your bias width, okay? Now, I always put this cut edge to my left so that my ruler's over here, because I'm right-handed. And if you're really clever, you can start stacking up your bias. If you stack it up in the same order, then you'll have an easier time sewing it all together, because all of your ends will be facing the right way. So we'll just leave this little piece here. Put all our bias in the bin. And that's our apron. All right. Okay, let's do our dot kit. So if any of you know me from the chicken boots days, I have on occasion have this product called a sock box, a nesting box, and a project box. They were not innovative. The Boxee pattern is out there in the world. Tons of people do it, and they do an amazing job on it. My difference was I did it in clear vinyl, and people really liked storing things in it and being able to see in it. If you are a non-plastic person, it's not the bag for you, but you can make a cloth version of it, and then you have yourself a Boxee bag. In fact, the gal earlier in the chat, Maria, she is an excellent seamstress, makes beautiful Boxee bags. Hi, Siobhan. Oh, no, it was great. It was really mellow. Just my brother came over. But we had apricot pie, you guys, and I didn't make it. I bought it at this farm stand. It was amazing. Yeah, so this is the sock box pattern, and I just put it for free on the Patreon page. No sewing instructions. Again, you're going to have to tune in to do that with me. But this project, this is actually coming out as a product for sale next year, earlier. So I'm going to make one in vinyl just because I know someone might ask me how I did that, and I'm going to make one like this. So, and I'm also going to show you how to add a little pocket to it. Fully line it. There's a few ways to sew this. Like I did this one with a serged edge on the inside. All right, you guys, this is because you could fully finish and line this bag, but I'm gonna be the voice of practical and non-crazy because it's this time of year, and tell you, you don't have to make it clean finished on the inside. So why not do either serged edges or binding? And look at this. I got this tip from Maria. I just cut the edges there. And I know some of you are like, oh my God, I could never do that. But here's the deal. I'm gonna tell you. On the inside of this bag, these edges stay flush with the top of the bag right here. See? Right? Let me get the angle there. So that little corner right there, it gets tucked in there. And I asked Maria about it, and she was like, I've never had an issue with it. She is like a beautiful finish seamstress. She's better than me, I think. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I need to know more about this. I was really impressed that she did that. So when I sewed these for chicken boots, we would bind this seam right here, and we left this one raw. And then we bound this edge here, and we bound our ribbon strap. That's how we did it. I'll go over that with you. But I'm just here to be the voice of, it's that time of year, let's not get crazy, you know? So that's just my opinion, that you do not have to clean finish everything. And this is, do you guys all, I don't know who was here from when I sewed the port side duffel and the DOP kit. Hi, PA. Yeah, wax canvas would be great. I've actually never sewn with wax canvas. I'm just going to give you that as a disclaimer. But I feel like a lot of the techniques I use with vinyl might carry over. So, and I'm going to sew one in vinyl, so maybe I can help out that way. And maybe some other folks can give us some tips on working with waxed canvas, PA. But I sewed that DOP kit, and do you guys remember that I was kind of like heck bent on not hand sewing this edge to here? How long did I spend trying to make that a non-hand sew version? And I did it, you guys. I did it. And the reason that I was struggling was that I had a decorative zipper, and it had like a lace edge, so it was top stitched on. If I had done it this way, it would have been easier, but I had added that layer of struggle. The thing is, like, I made 2 more of those, and I hand stitched them, and I was like, oh my God, why was I a big fat baby about this? I should have just hand sewed these, you know? Yeah, you know what? I should just go get some wax canvas and try it, huh? Who is selling I just saw some of that recently. Yeah, no, wax canvas is really fun. I actually have a really beautiful purse that I bought from another maker that's wax canvas. I love it. Okay, so anyway, this is just the Boxee bag. No big deal. My take on it was just making it clear. And then this one, you can see I put a seam down here in the middle so that my rabbits would be right side up on both sides. Well, there's a squirrel on this side. Can you see him? I made pants out of this fabric. Why is it so dark on the camera? It's so annoying. I knew my camera would hate this print right here. I'm just gonna turn it over. Isn't it, does it bug you guys that it's like the wrong color? I just don't like when it's the wrong color. That doesn't change anything. I don't think I can change it. Ooh, denim would be great. Yeah. All right, so this is, remember the shirt I made my husband? This is that fabric right here. God, why is it so dark? Maybe there's a cloud outside. Oh, I think I saw that, Malin, because I messed with it. Megan gives me a hard time. Okay, let me make it brighter. Why isn't it moving? You know, when I logged in yesterday, they changed Streamlabs, and now the controls they go further. Does that make sense? I'm really good at sewing, but this part is not my favorite. I can't get any more. Did I ruin it? Right, exactly, Malin. Oh, I feel like I ruined it. I mean, that looks a little better. It just looks so not sharp. Stop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, man. Oh, hi, Atropus. Nice to see you. Yeah. I am usually talking on, I can see the YouTube chat right now, and I'm bouncing back and forth with Twitch. My unified chat stopped working. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Megan. All right, anyway, let's do it. Okay, so here's the pattern piece. This one is the Patreon free pattern. It is this simple. Kind of funny, but this, I just want to give you some perspective. This is how it looks, all right? So this is the fold, this is the fold. That's the opening edge right here, opening edge right here, okay? This is how it looks. This, I added notches for you guys just so that it's a little less confusing. I found this pattern always really confusing for me. Anytime I wanted to make it bigger, what I had to do that was always a little like, what do I do again? Yeah, it is a puzzle piece pattern. So, you know, these single notches go together, triangles go together. So if you want to make a whole pattern piece, I recommend it. I would at least make it like this and then put this one on the fold, or like this and put this on the fold. Just remember that this is your opening edge of your bag. This is the bottom of the bag right here. So if you have a one-way print, what you can do is add a 1/4 inch to this edge here, going this way, right here, parallel to this edge, and make this a seam. And then you can cut this right side up, and then, you know, cut this one right side up, right? So that's my tips for getting your one-way prints to be right side up on the bag, so you don't have any upside down squirrels or bunnies, all right? This is only a linen cotton canvas on the outside and a cotton lining on the inside. It's very floppy, very soft. You might want something stouter. I think canvas is a great idea. You could interface it. You could put an interlining of canvas in there. I wouldn't recommend stiffener. It's too hard. I've tried it before. I have made a billion of these dumb things. I have made this bag half vinyl on this side and half fabric. I've made it half fabric this way and half vinyl this way. I've made it in different proportions of that. I've made it half vinyl this way and fabric on the bottom and the reverse. I've done all kinds of versions of this bag for special clubs and things like that, and I've really played around with it, and it is really fun and versatile. It's not my favorite kind of bag to use, I'll just be honest with you guys, but they're super popular and people love them. And it is kind of nice that you have this kind of capacity where you can put this on your wrist, put some, and reach in here and grab it, okay? I do recommend not skipping this stuff right here. It's very helpful to have something to grab onto when you're opening and closing your bag. And do not put this up too high. We did that on 100 bags once, and we had to take them out, and some of them did not make it. It was a bad faux pas on our part. We made 900 of these for someone, and 100 of them, for some reason, we put this like right here. We lined it up with the corner. Whoops. They sent them back to us. Okay, so here we go. Let's cut this out. So I have a piece of vinyl here. That's what this is. There's a piece of tissue behind it. What's my favorite bag? My favorite bag? World Peas. What? Give me some parameters. Can I make the bottom sturdier? If you want to put a seam, if you want just the bottom part, Megan, right here, sturdier, that is going to be, let me give you a visualization. That is right here. Okay, so you could put a seam right here and right here and add seam allowance to it and make this piece right here the heavier part. So I would just like cut this in half right here, add seam allowance, and you'd cut 2 of this top one, and then this, you'd have this piece right here. That's the bottom of the bag. So this bag is really easy to get lost in the sauce on. So right on here so it makes sense to you where you're at. Oh, this wasn't it's not my favorite bag to use, especially as a knitter, World Peas. Yeah, that's a great idea, Rachel. You could totally do that. Yeah, and I feel like fusible fleece or a fleece that you quilt or like a batting is a little easier to handle than stiffener. I used a really stout stiffener. The stiffener is just too hard, and maybe just making one bag would be fine in stiffener, but you have to remember we were making hundreds and it was just hard on our hands, and I wasn't a believer in getting a better bag just at the sake of our hands, you know? So you could totally do that. I think fusible fleece is a great idea. My favorite bag in my chicken boots line was the project bag. Hands down, it was my favorite bag. That, the Notions case, and the clear wristlet, those are my go-tos. And then eventually I used something called a charm keeper. And those are all fabric, except for the charm keeper, those are all coming out. And actually, it's just the project bag that's coming out, and the others. Yeah, right, Malin? Yeah, and so it's interesting. When I did the survey and I asked my customers, I said, all right, what would you guys like? If you want these as sewing patterns, what would you guys like? The project bag was number 1, and then after that it was the double, which was a clear bottomed bag with a fabric top and it drawstringed with a handle, a webbing handle. I have all these sitting right here if you want to see them, but you don't need to see them. And then there was a zippered version of that called a zip double. The Boxee bags. And then something called a wallaby, which was a later design that I totally forgot to put on the survey, and I got it so much flack for from people. They were like, what about the wallaby? I was like, oh yeah, the wallaby. So I threw that in there with the first batch, even though I don't know what kind of votes would have gotten because I just felt so bad. So the wallaby I really like as well. And it was just an open bag with it was just an elegant handle. Here, I'll show you. This was the double. This is what I was known for, clear bags. Okay. The pocket you access from the inside, and here's the handle. So that was the double. That's a sneak peek of my pattern. There's another one. A nice, fold flat. Here's the wallaby. This is kind of a big bag, canvas, soft, no plastic, pockets, folded flat, and the zippered one, zip double. Same thing, pocket you access from the inside, you can see the contents, zipped shut, small handle. Those are the first that and the project bag are the ones coming out first. I know, that kitty print's so cute. Oh, that's awesome, Angela. That's so neat. It's fun to see a chicken boots person in the stream. I love it. So yeah, so there was a little tiny one that was a wristlet that held 1 ball of yarn, and then the project bag. Those are my go-tos. But let's get back. Other people are like, can you just get to the frickin' cutting? All right, so I'm gonna make this one for my husband, and I'm going to fully line it. So, pretty sure you can get this bag out of a fat quarter. So see, this is a fat quarter. I'm gonna show it upside down because I think it will kind of do something crazy with the camera. Yeah, World Peace, I do. Have you not seen it? I think I have one right here. Oh yeah, and here's a wristlet. Here's the project bag. It was a stiff bag. It stood straight up. It had a divider. It wasn't like earth-shattering, but no one had something like this when I started. It has a divider, and the divider has a pocket. It has a little small end pocket here, and a pattern pocket, a document pocket, which looks really like slack and loose, but once you have something in here, it's perfect. And then the strap went over the shoulder. Everything I made was washable in the washing machine. Hey RM, how's it going? Yeah, so this is the one that's almost done. This pocket bucket, this one, I'm not sure I'm gonna do. I don't know if people really want it, but they say they do. And then this was my other favorite. I'm sorry this is turning into what my favorite products were. This is the clear wristlet. This is one of those bags that people were just like, I don't need that thing. And then there'd be someone be like, I didn't think either. And then I got addicted to it. I love it because you could put your ball of yarn. You could set it there. You could knit from it. You could, on a plane, it was brilliant. It was great. And I did needle cases, and I think my most famous thing was the pattern holder. But I'm doing bags first. So anyway. Yay, Angela. I'm so glad. Yay, yay, yay. All right, let's do this. Okay, so you can get this bag in a fat quarter. And if you want to line it, you'll need another fat quarter. Or a half a yard will do one whole bag. That's awesome, Angela. Your name looks familiar. Did you order online or did I meet you at shows? I sometimes see names of my customers and it's very nostalgic for me now. I'm like, oh, they used to order from me. It's pretty awesome. I really miss it. It's like coming on a year that I haven't had chicken boots. Wait, yeah. Crazy. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I thought so. Maria, I had to cut Maria off on Pocket Buckets. I was like, Maria. I think I own 1 or 2 Pocket Buckets. That's it. I love that bag though too. I use one here made in oilcloth to put my dirty dishes in. I bring it home and stuff. All right, so this bag is so unfriendly to a rotary knife. I'm sorry. I feel your pain. I'm gonna cut this fabric off. And I'm gonna trace it onto the fabric, and I'm still gonna use my rotary cutter because I'm stubborn as you know what. Hi, Maribel. Yeah, so they're working on it. If you are a test sewer, I kind of hesitate to put this out there just because I am hiring someone to help me handle the test sewing a bit of it because I've never done that before and I really want to do it right. So if you're interested, you can email me or DM me and I'll pass your name along to the gal because I would appreciate all sewing abilities. I think like the project bag is going to be kind of an intermediate. So it's heavy duty sewing for sure. I'm cutting it close on that selvage, aren't I? So I don't have the notches on here. Oh, thanks for following Nerd Esquire. That's a great name. And just so you know, if you're on Twitch, I am talking to chat on Twitch and YouTube. Hi, Olivia. Yay. Just so you know. I'm going to transfer the notches so that I can sew this with you the way I told you to sew it. So I'm just going to cut this little edge off really quick and transfer my notches. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I saw the most recent draft of the pattern and the instructions yesterday, and it's just looking really good. It's a lot of work. I'm trying to stay up on it. This is not ever the way I would transfer notches. I'm just gonna use my notcher really quick so you're not waiting on me too much longer. Like I said, I never use notches, especially for the vinyl, because those would have showed. We just knew how to do it. Not always. We definitely had our moments where we would forget how to sew something together. And this is so many notches. You just wouldn't use a pattern that has this many notches in production. But I feel like this is going to really help you guys keep track of what goes where. And that is the key with this pattern, is not getting lost in where it's at. Okay, I'm not doing this very accurately, so I'm gonna This is not at all how I would do this. Oh my gosh. All right, but I really want to sew this the way I designed it with you. I'm missing one right here, aren't I? Yeah. One more. Oh my gosh, this is so many notches. Note to self, don't do this on the home pattern. You know? All right. Oh my gosh. This is a really good example of over notching, and probably I will have created something that confuses you and doesn't help you. So hopefully I will be there to walk you through this madness. Look at this. This is nuts. All right. Hey, Nancy. How's it going? I saw Christy was going to try and stop in today. She's been busy. I think she sold a house or something. All right, so I'm going to cut. I'm going for it. The crazy thing is, doing these notches, some of them may not even be available to us. I can't remember. I'm going to cut off all the straight edges first. All right, we'll get that out of our way. And then this is how I would do a rotary interior cut like this. I'm going to pick it up like this and keep going like that. Now, I don't always recommend cutting things like this with your rotary knife. When you have an interior corner, it can be really tricky to get your rotary knife in there, and that's why if you can pick it up or pull it away like this, you can kind of get all these weird little things. I have so many times gone into the pattern doing this, and you know, sometimes it was okay, sometimes it was not okay. So I just try and get close, peel it away. You really get the hang of using your rotary knife when you do these kinds of cuts, because you start learning where not to go past. So it is a good exercise. I do appreciate it for that. But this is a really good example of how your scissors can work better. And then I'm going to do the scissors. Oh, that was way too deep. No one saw that, right? Just don't look. Right now, you guys, just don't look, okay? I still have dish carriers to cut. I'm hungry. All right. Oh, I missed one right there. We'll just eyeball it. This is too many notches. What have I got here? Get that one, that one, that one. I could use the rotary knife, but I really only have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that is such a recipe for making your notch too deep. Okay, so let me show you another visualization of this. So when you look at it like this, does it make a little more sense? Yes, they do, Terry. I have one of those. I've had it for years. It works great. I love it. I use it sometimes when I'm going to pre-wash fabric. I will cut off the edge with the pinking blade. I got it on one of those sales, you know. It was great. Here's my bag. So can you see this? Does this help? See, then, you know, you have your corners. Zipper. Right? All right. Okay, so let me fold this up, and we're going to cut vinyl. And we're going to go hardcore on the vinyl. No notches. See, there's the gaming reference, you guys. If you need the nightmare difficulty, it's without notches, right? Okay. So, I did want to mention that the pattern is designed for a zipper tape that's roughly about 1 inch wide. And what I mean by that is the width of your zipper. This matters, and it's something that even I overlook very frequently because I've been using this by the yard zipper for so long and I'm so used to it. And when I started making patterns for like anyone could use, I realized the zippers that you get at the fabric store and online are typically narrower than this, because this is pretty wide. This is like 1.25 inches or so. Yeah, it's a full 1.25 inches. And so this pattern was designed for a little over 1 inch wide, and that's because that's going to be more common to you. If you are going to be using a zipper, I'll show you how to figure this out. If you line up these edges like this, line up these corners right here, and here's my fold line. Can you see that? This is how you're going to adjust it. Oh boy. Okay, I don't usually do pattern drafting with a Sharpie. Now, I'm going to sew this bag 2 ways. I'm going to sew it one way where I sew this as a seam right here to the zipper, like I did here. So the zipper is in a seam. The other way I'm going to do it is I'm going to bind this edge, and I'm going to lay the zipper behind it and top stitch it down. So the seam allowances are different. Yeah, World Peace, I know a lot of people do that. Yeah, so it just depends. So this is the thing to note. Like, see, if I line up my zipper coil right on this line right here, like that, how much is my overlap right here? It is 1/2 inch. So this is perfect. It's like a little more than 1/2 inch. It's perfect for using for the seam. So that gives me 1/4 for this edge and 1/4 inch for this edge, right? And then that'll bring it to where it's right here. Because you need it to be away from the zipper coil so that the zipper slide can pass by without any issues, all right? If you're going to make this with a bound edge, which you can do even on a fabric one, you're gonna need to trim off 1/4 inch probably off this edge right here, the opening edge. The edge that says opening right here. Okay? I really hate how my camera does not look clear today. Bye, Malin. Night. Sleep well. Thanks for coming. So that is my little thing about seam allowance and zippers. Now, if you don't do any of this and you're like, screw it, I'm just going to go for it, I am that person too. What's going to happen is that this edge, when you have your zipper sewn to this edge right here, I'm just going to warn you so you know how to deal with it. When you have this edge right here going to this edge, it won't fit. It'll either be too wide or too narrow, and you're gonna have to do some on-the-fly adjustments that you might not enjoy. So just think of that. That's what I'm talking about. Right here, you need to allow how you're gonna be sewing this like this. So if I'm just binding this edge and sitting it on top of the zipper tape and top stitching it, that bound edge would go right up to here. So I need to trim a little off. So that's what we're talking about, all right? Okay, so let's talk vinyl, because I know I'm gonna get this question. Where do I get my vinyl? You guys. Oh, thanks, nerd. What an awesome cheer. That's my first cheer. Thank you, I really appreciate it. So for those of you on YouTube that don't know, wow, you shared 25 emotes. That's awesome. I'm so glad you've learned some things. That is really cool. Let's see. Thanks. How do I do that? Oh, look at that. I can give you a little reindeer. Oh my God, that is adorable. Yay. Thank you. Appreciate that. I am all about helping you guys out. Usually my streams aren't this long, I don't think so. Well, they kind of are. I usually cut on Wednesdays, so Thursday and Saturday. This week, we're streaming 5 days in a row. So, yay, that's so cool. You got it too, H-Dot? That's awesome. Okay, so this was my #1 fabric question when I had chicken boots. Where do I get my vinyl? Like, I swear people think I hid this, but I didn't. See, what I hid was where I got it from my vendor because I didn't want the world to know that. But what I never hid was the fact that I used to buy it from Joann Fabrics for years, like 2 or 3 years, and I didn't buy it wholesale. I would buy a whole roll of it with the 40% off coupon, and I would buy the 12 gauge, frosted or matte, depending on how they talk about it, and that's it. So you can get vinyl almost identical to what I use from Joann Fabrics. I like the 12 gauge. If you don't want it that heavy, you don't have to. I like frosted. I feel it looks classier than the clear with the glare. I just like the way it looks. A lot of people don't. They think that they think that when they see through it, they really want it to be crystal clear. This on the camera, admittedly, looks crystal clear, but it's not. Like, you guys just picture it. You know what I'm talking about, the shiny stuff that is really crystal clear. You can see really well through this vinyl, and I just felt like it gave a softer, kind of classier look to it. It didn't have a performance difference that I know of, but I never used the other stuff, so I can't speak to that. I have a friend who makes bags from vinyl. I'm going to ask her soon and say, so how do you like working with that? The other thing I like about using frosted is it doesn't stick to itself. So the non-glare that is perfectly like, what do they call it? I think they call it like crystal clear or something like that. It can stick to itself, and that is a problem. So we experimented one year with getting our vinyl with this tissue leaf between it, and we, for a variety of reasons, we did that mainly because we used a stack cutter that would stack up to like 120 layers of fabric, and we really wanted to use a stack cutter on our vinyl, but it was melting the edges together. Because, of course, right? Because the friction of the blade is moving so fast, it would create some heat, and the vinyl would fuse together, and we'd have to peel it apart or it would rip. So we got the tissue, and that solved that. But the tissue added a whole nother issue that we didn't want to deal with. And then I had a big old falling out with this vendor who were terrible to me. They were sexist and patronizing and rude to me when I just told them something. Hey, I just want you to know your vinyl's changed. And they were terrible to me. And I was like, oh, okay, see you, bye. So I switched vendors. What I've learned about vinyl since is not all 12 gauges are the same. And there's also something called soft. And so there's different varieties of soft that you can also build into your vinyl, because it's basically, it's plastic. It's a petroleum product. And so I'm not a big proponent of using plastics and things like that. But if you like it, it's good to know there's lots of ways to go about it. And you can get in different colors. I looked for years for a non-PVC based plastic vinyl that I could order. I never found it. I know it exists in the world. And I know that you can see it in like reusable snack pouches at like a natural food store and like a Whole Foods or whatever. Those are food grade. I never found it wholesale. So I tried really, really hard. So my husband works for a company that promotes non-plastic use and non-single-use plastics. And so you can bet I was trying. So it became a problem for me. So there's not to say, though, that there's not a lot of really awesome attributes about using a clear bag, right? So anyway, I am talking way too much. I'm having fun. I've been really looking forward to this week. So I'm going to trace this out, and I'm going to tell you right now, we never, ever did this because you would see the ink line on some of the cut edges. I'm just doing it so that I can cut it out in front of the camera and for you guys. So, but I'll tell you when we're sewing it where you want to trim off that ink. Let's put a, so you can mar your vinyl, like me just sliding that weight on there may have added a, like a skid on it. So you want to be kind of careful with it. It's not that fragile though, but you know, it's got its limits. This would be a really nice way to do a dot bag because you can see what's in it, and if you put something wet in there, it's not such a big deal, right? So there's that. That's why doing a clear one will be good. I have a bunch of these at home. I could have brought one, but mine are all filled with yarn. This is the perfect little size for like 2 skeins of yarn. Not all skeins, but some. That's why we called it a sock box. All right. I haven't used this one with the tissue in so long, but I thought it would be nice to see it on the table. Yeah, that's exactly where I used to get it, Megan. I used to get it from Joann Fabrics. I'm just going to tone it down a little. All right, so then the places when I go to sew this together that the ink is going to show up are the edges. Let's see, let me think about this. This edge right here. So if you want to, wait. Now I'm confused. See, it goes like this. These are the vertical edge. Yeah, so these edges right here. So these cutouts right here is where you want to get rid of the ink. So I would do it right now. Be nice to your future self when you're sitting there and it's late at night and the family has gone to bed and you're trying to whip out all your Christmas sewing or whatever you're doing. Be nice to that future self of you and trim all this off right now. Because I'm going to tell you what, if you do the clear bag and you finish it, you're going to be pretty bummed you didn't get rid of all this first because it's kind of a pain to do later. If you think about it, when you have the bag together, you know, wait, am I actually thinking about this wrong? It goes like this, right? Yeah, because then it goes like this. That's how it goes. It goes like that. So look, when it's sewn, you could do this. You could just do the whole thing right now. Voila. It's really hard to see this ink edge when you're at your sewing machine. Because when it's on top of other things, it blends in. So now you see why I never use the ink. We traced all of our stuff on a piece of paper and then cut everything out. That's called a marker. You could bind all these edges and then you don't have to worry about it at all. All right, we're gonna stop there and then we'll see how bad I did when I'm sitting there in front of the machine. Okay, so now we have our dot kit. We have 2 of them. You're gonna need 1-inch ribbon or a handle of some sort that you're gonna want to put on the bag, and also for the pull tab right here. Now you'll see I bound my ribbon. It just gives it more body. You don't have to do that at all. It's a little gilding the lily, I know. And then I bound the little edge right here at the cut edges. So not these 2. We used to though. I forgot. So you just want a handle and you want a pull tab. You can do whatever you want. You could even make it out of bias or fabric. You could make yourself a little strap. You guys ready for dish carriers? I think this is my last thing I'm cutting out today. All right, so we have our dish carriers. Now, if you really want to get rid of fabric, this is the pattern to do. This is why I didn't continue doing this pattern and sell it, because it took a yard of fabric. That's a lot of fabric in the wholesale world for a product. All right, so I'm doing the round one and I'm doing a casserole one. All right, the round one has the slit. And so like I said, if you have a fabric that's one way, or I don't think one way is as critical. Maybe you don't have enough though to do the full piece on the top. You can put a seam right here, and I'll show you that on the pattern piece. All right. Okay, so we have this casserole dish here, and you need the pattern, these 3 pattern pieces. You need this one that looks like a little hood. You need, this one looks more like a hood. You need this guy, and you need the strap, okay? I need canvas for both. I'm using my bias already on the roll. And you need, for the round dish carrier, you need this one. Same strap piece. This one's cut on the fold as well. Okay. So this is my round one, and I'm using this as a contrast because it goes so good together, right? And I have like one little scrap of it left, not much. I made a dress out of that. All right, so let's look at the pattern pieces real quick. So this one here is a fold and a fold, so then you get the whole bottom. So this is what you're looking at, like that, all right? This one here is this piece here. Doesn't look like it, but that is what that is. So it's that piece there. And this one, pretty obvious, is this right here, this one, and this one. All the same pattern piece, quarter round, right? Just for reference. All right, let's get rid of those. Get rid of those. You'll need a little elastic for the casserole dish. And this one, you know, if you like, you can put stiffener on the bottom. It does add a lot. Hey, thanks for the donation, World Peas. That's awesome. I'm gonna stop dropping things now. Thank you. So nice of you. Okay, I think I have a lot of this fabric. So if I wanted to do this round dish carrier, all this exact same fabric on the top pieces, the bottom, and the outer bottom, you would cut 4 in this quarter round, right? So you would actually probably use all of this. And you would do this. And you cut it. That's a little confusing though. I wouldn't recommend that. And if you can, you might want to make this pattern piece like at least opened out one way or the other way, so it's a little easier, you know? I feel like that helps visualize where your folds are and then you don't get lost. So I'm gonna do the inside bottom in that swallow print, and then the tops and the outer bottom in this swallow print. So I need 3 of these in this quarter round. So I'm going to, I'm trying to conserve my fabric because it's cool enough that I would like to have some scraps of it. So we're gonna leave this here. Ooh, I hope I can use that for my straps. That was pretty bad cut, wasn't it? Okay, so we have 2. I need 1 more. This looks directional, so I might want to pay attention to that. The great thing is it's a quarter round circle, so you really have a lot of opportunity to position things and correct things as you go. But you can see these guys are all flying one direction. And I would just need to see if when I place my notches for the strap that I have it the way I want it to go. Now I do have this traced on manila paper, but I'm going to cut this out the way you will be. So I need 1, that's not big enough. Isn't it weird when you use a fabric from another project on something? I think you guys see me do that all the time, so you're used to it. But it still feels weird because this is a beloved dress of mine. And it does feel weird when I'm making it into a dish carrier. Alright. And I know I have barely enough of it, so I have to be careful. This was a skirt piece. Can you see it? I made the Amelia dress out of this, which is a bias cut dress. I love it, but you have to play with directional prints. It's not ideal for that. All right, this is just too many layers to keep it accurate, so I'm gonna pull off 2. All right, so just making sure, because I'm paying attention to this right here. All right, let's get rid of this piece paper here. Now, if you need to add a seam on those 2 top flaps, you're going to do it right here. So add a 1/4 inch seam allowances on this edge that says fold line, because that is the fold line right here. Okay? All right. Get that up there. There's a little bit of leeway here, you know. It's just a dish carrier. There's plenty of room for your pie in there or a tart. So you're good. If it gets a little wonky, we'll you know, we'll finesse it later when we get to the last step. All right, so we're gonna put in the notches for the straps. You really only need these notches on these 2, because that's the ones you'll see when you attach the strap. All right, so now we have those. And now we're gonna do our tops. So let's see, here's my birds. I have to think about that. That's so funny, Nancy. Did she blend in? Was it like camouflage? I had the sweetest woman once send me pictures. She was buying my knit print fabric on Spoonflower and making herself things, and they were the sweetest pictures. She made everything in this knit print, and she literally was blending in. It was awesome. I still have those pictures. They were so great. I was so flattered. She was so cute. She made a dress. I swear, did she make a couch over it, a cover over it? Or was I just dreaming that? Because I really wanted to do that when I moved here. I was going to order one on Roostery, and they disabled that feature. I was so sad because you used to be able to like order any Spoonflower print on furniture on Roostery. All right, so what I'm gonna do to figure out how I want my position my birds. So if you have a directional print, this is what I would do, is cut them out, don't notch, and now look at it. This is gonna be my top flaps, right? So the circle can go any way I want right now, right? So let's see, I think, I could have them flying to each other. Don't you guys think that would be kind of cool? So it would be, whoops, like this, and like this, right? I know, right? It was so sweet. Okay, so that's, I think I'm gonna go with that. So now I know that this is where I want my notches. So the fold line, this fold line is this right here. So line it up like this. And then you're going to put your notches in. The notches are not symmetrical, so you do need to take care in positioning them. You can experiment with the strap placement, especially because, you know, some of us have some really unique dishes, and I think we fall in like one of two camps. We either want to show off kind of the special dishes that we have that we never get to use when we go to a potluck, or we're like, heck no, what if I break it there? You know what I mean? So you bring the thing that you may never see again. So it just depends, but I definitely have a couple of unique shaped things that I make sure that these designs fit around. Like I have one pie plate that's actually double tall, but smaller this way, you know? So my dish carrier is a little big for it. I also would never bring that anywhere, so it's okay. Okay, so this is actually how my dish carrier is gonna look, like this. So when you open it up, you're gonna see the birds. This is really cute, right, Arin? This is cute, I love it. Yeah, and so now I need my straps for this. Let's just fold this up just how it's gonna be sewn, except for the bottom wasn't turned the right way. So do I trust myself that I'll remember to flip it over? I'm pretty sure I will, but you know, for safety's sake. Now I notched all these on the bottom. It wasn't necessary. You only really need to notch these two pieces on the top. All right, so let's do this, that. Okay. And I'm gonna go with the canvas for the strap because it's not canvas, it's kind of lightweight. And I think it'll be better for the strap. So you need to put your strap on the fold. That's because I tried to fit it on the paper for you. It's, I think, 3.5 inches by 18 inches. Yeah, 3.5 inches wide by 18 inches long. If you don't want to use the pattern piece, which sometimes is more of a pain, right? Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go this way. I wasn't careful enough. All right. I still need to cut canvas for that bottom layer for the round dish carrier as well. I should have added it to one of those. Now you only have a fold line here. You're not doing the whole double fold thing. You're okay that way. These kinds of, I will tell you, I find pattern pieces that are like this. When it's like a long rectangular piece with a fold, it's cheesy to me that you put it on the fold here. I know. Hi, Samia. How's it going? I know it's really common, and I'm not trying to knock pattern drafters for doing it. Obviously, I did it here because I wanted to save space. This is my reasoning. Just is because I come from the garment industry where you would never put a pattern. It would never say cut one on the fold, and it's because it's inaccurate. So you can get your strap could go like this, like we were having that on the bias. It's the same thing. So if you want to be really accurate with your patterns and pattern drafting, you are better to make the whole pattern piece than cut it on the fold. I'm just saying that as my disclaimer, and I am admitting that I was cheesy and did this, but I did this because I wanted it to fit on the one piece of paper. You could just print two of this one and tape them together. That would be the easy thing to do. Just make sure you tape them straight. You can use a ruler to check. I can be a real rule stickler, but I kind of know when to let it go too, you know? It's like, why drive ourselves crazy over that kind of stuff? All right, so now we have our straps. Yay, that's pretty cute. You'll need 2 yards of bias. That's 1 3/8 inch wide. So obviously a fat cord will give you plenty. You might even be able to squeeze it out of one of your other fabrics here. and interfacing for the straps, which I'll probably cut off stream since our stream's so long today, and you guys know how to do that, I'm thinking. But if you need any help, just let me know when we get to the sewing, and I'll show you how. Let's see. We just need the canvas, yeah. Let's move this out of the way. I'm being very methodical, lining everything up because I won't see some of these projects for a few days, and I don't want to forget what I set myself up for. So if you're doing, you know, batch sewing or gift sewing, it can already be kind of stressful. Be nice to yourself, you know, set yourself up to succeed. Or don't do it because sometimes it's not worth the stress, you know. It's like, how many of us have, you're going on a trip tomorrow and you're like, I need a new dress. I need to cut and sew myself a dress tonight, or new luggage. No, that's what I need. I need a new duffel bag by tomorrow. Raise your hand if you've done that. I'm going to use the fabric to cut this out. It's just easier. And this is just a piece of canvas I'm putting as an interlining. I will admit, I picked blue because I was like, oh, it matches. But with this white fabric, I think a lighter color would work better. Using the print would show probably, because this is, you know, it's not that tightly woven. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to cut my circle out. This is just an interlining layer that I like for stability. You do not have to add it. I think you'll like it better. But now you can see why these take so much fabric. They just were not a cost-effective thing for me to manufacture. All right. Now we have our dish carrier. It's ready. So one of my shoes came untied and it's really annoying me. Someone who's really sewed before but wants to learn pattern drafting, how would you suggest they start? Ooh, well, what kind of pattern drafting are you wanting, Nerd Esquire? That's what your name says, right? Yeah. Are you doing garments? And what market? I mean, not that I have like a ready answer for you quite yet. I'm just giving myself time to think about it. We do pattern drafting on the stream, but it's not 100% pattern drafting all the time. In fact, recently we drafted our own basic bodice sloper. So you'll hear me talk a lot about the different kinds of patterns you need. So if you're doing patterns for you and you alone, that custom bodice sloper thing we did a couple weeks ago would be really helpful to you. If you're trying to get into being a designer and doing patterns for garments you're sewing and selling, you're going to need your own basic bodice block that is your size chart of your company, and then you would grade it out. Same if you're doing home sewing patterns. Olivia. So I have noticed, like, sometimes what I'll do before we're going to do a pattern drafting stream is I'll check out what's available on the internet. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I'll talk a little bit about that. Because at least that way I can know, like, hey, is there a lot of resources for folks on the internet for my stream beyond me? Because I'm technically... I'm well trained and I have this great experience, I have this great resume and everything, but I wasn't trained as a teacher, so I'm still learning how to do that. And I know my chat's really nice to me, and they'll say, "You're doing really great. No, you're on the right track." But my method isn't going to speak to everybody, right? Okay, so I find that if I do it, I'll do all my setup and I'll get ready, and then I look on the internet so none of it taints what I'm about to do. And then I'll say, like when I did an invisible zipper, I looked up an invisible zipper video and I told everybody, this is the person I watched because I haven't done a lot of these. And then same with the pattern drafting. If I will say use these keywords, and you'll find lots of things available. So that's what I did recently when I did the basic bodice. I wanted to see what was out there. I don't know if it's good information or not. I didn't watch it all. I didn't buy every pattern and try it out. But it's nice that it's there, and we're in a really social world, so someone's probably commented on it somewhere, you know. And admittedly, you might see more negative comments than positive comments in general, because we like to say that more often than positive things. So take it with a grain of salt and figure out what works for you. So I did see on Etsy, people do sell basic blocks for sale. So they're not custom. And I saw someone recently in Australia on Instagram is selling custom blocks. I meant to tell you guys that. I just saw this yesterday. So there is ways to get these things. For stuffed animals and bags and garments, you're doing a lot of different things there. I will tell you, anything but garments is easier because sizing. Sizing is it's a can of worms. I love sizing. I specialized in it, but I also, you know, I had the backing of whatever company I was working for, you know. It was their butt on the line, not mine. You know, they had their brand, and I just followed along with what they had and fought really hard for certain things I believed in as a pattern drafter, and usually won too, because most companies would learn that we knew what we were talking about, right? So you're trying to take on a big thing. So, and if you're in California, you have to be careful about sewing clothes and selling them, because there is a rule that you're not allowed to do that unless you have a garment manufacturer's license. So just be on the down low. But it is really rare for people to get busted, but they do. So yeah, exactly, nerd. I would just try things out and see what you like, and just be careful. You can't, some pattern companies let you, like Noodlehead, she lets you sew and sell her bag designs on a home-based business scale. And I'm gonna allow the same thing with my things as well. And so you might get a lot out of using someone else's patterns that allows that. That way you can kind of cut your teeth on that and not have to figure out the pattern drafting. And eventually you're gonna start being like, what if I did this different? The thing is, you have to be careful. You cannot use someone else's pattern as your starting thing. You can copy a garment off of a rack, though. That's totally how it goes, and then make adjustments to it. But you can't take my pattern, alter it, and call it yours legally. I'm not going to probably catch you, but you know what I mean? Like, there is copyright's different than knocking off. It's a whole big can of worms, and there's a lot of opinions about it. And I have my own opinions too, so we can talk about it sometime. All right, what am I doing? Casserole dish. I was about to cut 4 of these. That would have been a mistake. You need 2 of these. You need one for the outer bottom, one for the inner bottom. You need a layer of canvas, and then you need 2 of these and 2 straps. All right. So let's see here. Let's do, this is the fabric my mom ordered Apron in, if you saw my Instagram. All right, so this is a great example of how it's been printed off grain a little bit. So I'm gonna try, can you see, I'm gonna line up these stripes. You know what I mean, jelly beans? Yeah, I hope so. You're not in California, you're in Washington. Okay, yeah. Yeah, anytime. I think like you can try the basic bodice thing I did a couple weeks ago based on the measurements of your size chart. It's great experience because we're going to go through the whole fitting of it and stuff together, because my chat's super well behaved and they're all going to be done by next week. I'm just teasing you guys. You're all like, we're not even doing that, Sarah. I don't know what you're talking about. I still need to do mine. What am I talking about? Okay, so this one is a trifold thing. So I'm just gonna make sure I have enough here. Like this. Okay. You might, oh, you know, I know if someone else was here, they would remind me. I'm really glad I thought of it. There's places like Blueprint and Creative Bug that have classes. And then you own the class forever. It's like an online digital class. I think that would be really awesome. I went to school. I went to FITM. So my experience is obviously pretty unique that way. Okay, let's just cut this off. So again, like I said, be nice to yourself and make the whole pattern, maybe. Let's see. Fold, fold. These are my two bottoms. Oh man, I hate cutting stuff out like this. Don't you guys hate cutting stuff out like this? It feels so inaccurate. Plus, I need my canvas still. Now, this is the guide for where the top gets sewn to. So you need this. You only need it on the layer on the inside of the dish carrier. So in case if you're doing like all different fabrics for each layer, you just need the notches on this one, because it's where this gets lined up to, okay? We need one of that in canvas. We need two straps, which look like they will fit perfectly right here. I feel like my yardage notes were a little confusing, and I'm sorry, you guys. It was really hard to word those. Keep forgetting to switch back and forth. Yeah, I love Project Runway. I haven't watched that in forever. Is it still on? That's a great show. That was so inspiring when it came out for so many people. I also felt like it was really great, like, to have something on TV that I could relate to. They even filmed some episodes at my school when they did like a West Coast one. It was my school was a beautiful campus. It was brand new the year I went. I didn't even know it was going to be a new campus. It had been like squirreled away in bits of the garment district down there, and while they were building a whole new campus. And there's an angel. There's an angel statue. It's like this size. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's very big. And it's walking away from the building, and you see it in TV shows all the time. It's really funny. I don't think this will need interfacing because I use this canvas, and it's probably the same with my other. So maybe I won't use interfacing because this feels like that would be enough. I did denim here, and I hemmed the edges. Cheater! What I do when you guys aren't looking, it's awesome. Oh, so someone on YouTube Nerd said Blueprint was having a 50% off the full year membership over the weekend. I don't know if they're still doing it, but the class on FBAs alone was worth the cost for me. That's awesome. Yeah, they do have specials. I bought that as a gift for someone once, and they loved it. I bought it for them for one class, and she said she ended up watching everything but that class. She loved it. So people have nothing but good to say about Blueprint. And I think Blueprint was craftsy. And oh no, I bought her Creative Bug and she loved it. Okay, so we need two of these. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to keep my stripes kind of lined up still too. Can you see? It's like kind of wonky. Kind of wonky. All right, cool. I love this fabric. Like, I've been eyeing it at the fabric store, but I was like, I just don't have any reason to have it. And it didn't seem like, I don't need any bags. You know? Oh, that's cool, Pixel Juggler. She says or I don't know, said they've watched so many blueprint classes and it's so worth it. And Angela said same thing. You know, you used to be craftsy. Yeah. Those are it is a really great resource. I've been across from them at shows. Like, their booth is across from me. Was at Stitches West one year. That was one of my most awkward years ever because someone who copied my fabric design was a guest in their booth for like the whole afternoon. It was so freaking awkward, you guys. And you know, they were like, we did not copy your fabric. I'm like, okay, well, you did, but I'm just asking you if you used my image. It was a whole weird thing. Okay, so on this piece here, there's a notch right here at the top of the curve on the fold right here. You see that? You want to just notch that little fold right there because that's going to give you a really nice guide when you're sewing it on to the bottom. Yeah, it was, Angela. It was like, the thing was, it wasn't for me, but they also had no, like, they were very solidly felt they hadn't, even though my whole, like, everyone was like, what the heck, you use the exact same, they used to buy my fabric. This is the thing, Angela. They used to buy my fabric, lots of it. And then I made it not for sale. I took it off because you can do that on Spoonflower. Because when I added it back to my line, it wasn't in my line for a few years. And people were like, are you ever going to bring knit print back? And I was like, yeah. So we did 1 year. And so I made it unavailable for sale. Because it was my design. And they decided, they were doing so well with it. And I didn't know that. I didn't know who they were. And I didn't know that was happening. I just saw that someone would buy 9 yards here and there. And that's kind of a lot. Because you notice that kind of transaction. And they were, I think, probably bummed they couldn't get it anymore, so they decided to copy it. And so how I figured it out was they made a notebook for sale with the print on it, and I was like, wait, that's my knit print, and they made a notebook out of it. I didn't know, I didn't know they were making this fabric yet. And so I was like, hey, I'm just curious, like, did you by any chance get that image from my knit print fabric? And they were like, nope. I was like, oh, that's weird because that's my fabric. It's very distinctive. And then I looked at their page and I was like, oh, heck, they're like sewing and selling this fabric still. How are they doing that? And so they copied it. They didn't actually like photograph my fabric and do that. That's why they got away with it. They actually just perfectly recreated it so they could use it. They just didn't do the repeat very well. That's how I knew it wasn't mine. That's how they could prove it. I was like, oh. It felt so icky, but whatever. They're super popular too. These gals, and I feel like part of it was that knit print really put them on the map. Wasn't that sad? Because then they started doing everything in knit prints. Different knit prints, different fabrics. And their customers were so mean to me. And I was just like, look, I'm just trying to figure it out, you guys. It looks just like my fabric. But it's not. Yeah, I get it. Whatever. It bugged me for a long time. Now I'm just like, whatever. If you're going to do that, then go for it. I know whose fabric it is. But they, you know, it was the fact that their customers really hated the fact that I was saying that, and I was like, why am I the bad guy here? This is my fabric print. What do you mean they're not copying me? But I was just like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Calm down, everyone. Oh well. All right. I just cut the canvas, sorry. I'm totally going in my little self-centered rant. So here we go. This is going to be my dish carrier. I love this fabric. That's why I made the whole thing. This fabric. I love this blue though. Oh, it's so good. And then here's the tops. They're gonna get elastic right here and it's gonna scrunch up. And then here are my straps. So it's a little busy. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe we would want to do a different one on the bottom, but I think it's gonna be cute. All right, so we're ready, right? We Nerd said, "Cool, thank you, internet person." That was for Pixie Juggler or Pixel Juggler. Wait, who was it? Someone said, I don't know. Nerd was thanking you. Maybe it was RM. All right, so tomorrow we're going to be sewing the dop kit. Why did I make that one first? It's so weird. And in a lined version and a clear version that we cut out today. Then on Thursday, we're going to be doing the apron from Decades of Style. That'll be really cute. And then Friday, we're going to do all the domestic stuff, the mitt and the dish carriers. Saturday, I'm going to be cutting and sewing all the pincushions. And that's the only pattern I actually sell right now. But it's not one that's been professionally, like, graphic perfect. It looks pretty good. I think it turned out really good, but I did it all. So, but it's fully has instructions and it comes with a video on how to sew it. You don't have to come on Saturday if you've already bought that pattern, but it will be nice if folks have a question, they can ask me live. So that's why we're doing that on Saturday. And if you have a sewist in your life, it could be a good gift. So that's why I threw it in there. So, all right, you guys. Well, thanks for coming. Thanks that you guys have already liked it. Thanks for the bits, the cheer, the donations. You guys are awesome. The Patreon subscriptions, you guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do more and more of this, like making patterns available and stuff. So if you like that, showing your support is really valuable for me. And there's lots of ways to do it in the description, and you can just watching the ads when they pop up. It doesn't give me much. Honestly, I think I've made $12 since August so far. So when you see YouTubers that are monetized and you're like, oh, they're making bank, you know, depends on who they are. So if you have a Twitch Prime subscription, I am an affiliate now, you can do that. So that's on Twitch. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can give me $5. It doesn't cost you a thing. Or give it to some streamer, because otherwise it goes unused every month. Give it to someone you really like on Twitch. So yay, it's all happening this week. I know, I'm real excited. We're going to have all kinds of gifts. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, same time, same place, except I'll be at my machine. And we'll be sewing this. And if you want to get good at binding, I'm your gal. I will help you through it, I promise. So thanks for coming, you guys. And here, I'll show you the gift calendar again real quick. And I will put the patterns in the comments one more time. Here's the December calendar. I will have a good day. Thank you. No, I'm so excited. Here we go. And let me say bye to you guys. All right. Bye, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. 5 days this week. It's going to be great. So I'll see you guys. Have a great day and get your stuff cut out and get ready. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.